you remember where you were when Martin Luther King was assassinated?
Oh yeah. At that time, I'd been through the NCO Academy. I was training troops at Fort McClellan. We were in the field, and all of a sudden we got orders. We're to come back to base, right in the middle of our field training. Doesn't make any sense. So we come back to base, and first thing I notice is sitting alongside the barracks is a flatbed truck with 2 armored personnel carriers on it. And there's one sitting next to the next barracks. And we come in, and Martin Luther King's been assassinated, and we're on standby duty for riot control to go to Atlanta. And my guys are then cleaning their guns and getting equipment ready, and crazier thing too, sidelight personal note, the gal I volunteered for the service the day I got the draft notice, her and I broke up. She didn't know I volunteered for draft, and you ain't gonna tell her, because if you get hurt, you don't want her feeling responsible. But somewhere in there, I dated another gal, and we were getting fairly serious. She was in Muskegon, and she'd write me, she wants to come down and visit me. And I'm not exactly in training, I'm training people. And there's 2 sergeants. So one sergeant can stay with the guys. I can have every weekend off, or half a day off, you know, or a day off every week, or whatever we want. And she's gonna come down and visit me at the base. And I write her and tell her no, and I get from her letters that she ain't paying attention. So I wrote her daddy and told her that nice things don't happen to little girls down at military bases, and you ought to keep her home. He writes me back, and as long as I meet her and she's with me, he doesn't care. And I'm going, no, you ain't listening. And right in the middle of me getting the guys back and everything's in turmoil, I hear a whole bunch of fox whistles and stuff going on. And I walk out of my room and into the barracks. Well, at that time, I'm a sergeant, and these guys are in training, so you hear, Eddies! And the place is stone quiet. And look down the middle of the barracks, because the bunks are down both sides, and the guys don't even walk in the middle. I mean, you carried a sock that you had split, and you put it over the nose of your shoe and brought it up, and you tied it over the instep, so that if you walked in the middle, you were polishing it. And then when you took that off, it went inside your tunic, and you stuffed them on both sides because you kept the floor nice and polished. And I was a sergeant, so I walked down the center, walk wherever I want to. Sharon had walked in the barracks on the other end and was walking down the middle of the barracks. That's what the guys were all hooting and hollering about. And I told her, I says, my room down there. Guys, I appreciate your taste. I think you got other things in here. Woo, you got stuff to take care of. And I went back. But we were completely sequestered to the base. I borrowed a vehicle from the chaplain's assistant, and knowing the base, because I'm training and out there with the guys everywhere, I went off the back of the base so I didn't go through the guards. We're sequestered, I can't get off. And I took her out to a hotel and dumped her at the hotel and told her I'd be back the next day if things permitting. And so yeah, I remember real well what happened when Martin Luther King got, because all of a sudden everything's in the air and I'm kind of juggling stuff, and it was crazy.
Okay, so that kind of works back to the question I'd asked about when you started flight school. So it's going to be after all that.
Oh yeah.
And then your Ranger Special Forces training, whatever that was, comes
was
after that.
that.
So is flight school still in 1968 when you start that, do you think?
Yes.
Okay, but later in the year.
I got to Vietnam in the middle of '69, and flight school was 9 months long, because we always joke the difference between a warrant officer and a hard bar, your lieutenants, and that is OCS, Officer Candidate School, 6 months. And flight school for warrant officer candidates is 9 months. And the extra 3 months burns out our military bearing.